If I'm managing customer calls, incoming bids, all of that administrative work that you would put to an executive assistant in an office, you can offload to me. If you're not managing your time and you don't have those skills or that structure in place, you are not going to be successful. It is attainable and accessible to the everyday person. Try one service that you really feel like. If you hate running errands after work, have someone do it for you. That's part of what's going to keep you going. Our connections, our social fabric is really the most important part of.
I believe that social connections are really tied to happiness. Really, it's the relationships that matter, even more so after COVID. And that's why I'm really excited about today's episode and my guest, Alexis Smith, the founder of Happy Heart Concierge. Alexis, thank you so much for being with us today.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me. And I'm really excited.
Alexis, for someone who hasn't heard of Happy Heart Concierge or doesn't really know much about concierge services, like how would you explain it to someone?
A lot of people are looking for extra help. So they need someone to pick up their kids from school because let's face it, school is 8 to 2 and most people work 8 to 5. So how can you be in all those places? And then they really need a little bit of like, can you pick up my laundry? Can you fold my laundry? Can you do all those things? So it's really that whole house management of managing that, as well as there's a lot of people that work professionally that need that support for speaking engagements, for managing their calendars between the two. And that's where the concierge comes in because it's kind of an all-encompassing, but it also is with someone you trust instead of paying for every single service line and getting the quality is lacking.
So it's kind of like a best friend almost.
Yeah, I've been told that it's like having a husband, but you don't have to have one. Someone called me their pseudo-husband. Someone called me another platonic partner.
Oh, wow.
So I've gotten kind of all of those things. So
how long have you been doing this?
A little bit of background. I worked in healthcare analytics 10 years for the UC Health System. You end up doing analytics, but also supporting your leadership. So I kind of had a mixed role. And I ended up watching kids on the side, doing after school, pickup, drop off, all that, tutoring. And I started that in 2022, and then it evolved and continued to grow with clients, whether it was just regular childcare or other things. And then in 2024, I actually got laid off from my job, went full time into this. And then 2025 was my first full year of business as my own with my LLC and no support or anything. So it's been a couple years in the making to be full time, but it's been great.
You decided to do childcare on the side, but why'd you do that on the side anyways? Was it just for more money or was there like a reason to make that?
I really wanted to make a little bit more money, but I'm not a big restaurant person. And I like filled it out just to see what was in there. And there was a lot of people that had that. And I worked from home remotely and like I could work from my phone. So why not go get a child? And as someone that doesn't have kids, lives away from their family, it was nice to kind of feel community and all that. I have 3 older brothers. I've always had nieces and nephews, and I think I was missing that portion of that. And then I worked from home. So now I'm alone away from my family, and I'm working from home. So I think it was a way for me to also build connection. And let's face it, when you watch kids by yourself, or like when you watch kids and they're not yours every day, it's very fun. There's a lot of fun things. Kids say fun things, and kids are like really fun. Just every day, sometimes I'm just tired. So it's nice to be able to relieve myself, but also I get to be part of those things because kids say funny stuff. For example, one of my main kids were in the car and he goes, you know, Alexis, I go, what? He goes, I just really want to know why you're always listening to love songs. And I looked at him and I said, because the songs that I want to listen to, you can't listen to. Like, you know, so it's given me that opportunity to kind of do it on the side, but also be part of someone's life in a way that is very intricate, because I think that that's part of what's going to keep you going. Our connections, our social fabric is really the most important part of what's, you know, going to continue to give us overall health. You're looking at the health like standards and all that, they're dramatically down, right? And one of the biggest things is that people are missing social connection. And it's not just because I'm sick, but also for community. Like I need the conversation, I need the sunshine. Those things are starting to become part of a health discussion as well. And I think that's really what it helped.
Yeah, I can see the need for the relationship building, especially after COVID. And that's why I even opened with that is like, man, after COVID, there's so much isolation amongst people, relationships, communities, families, that if you have someone that can be there as a assistant or someone that can be a friend, that's just more than the assistant, is really in your life. I think that does a ton for mental health and just health in general. So are you a one-man shop or do you have an and a staff at this point?
Because I am technically the owner and all of that, I'm still actively working with clients. So I'm not at a place where I'm managing everyone. I do have an assistant that I brought in halfway through 2025. Her name is Violetta, but she goes by V. And she's great. She really is. Like, as we progress, I just hand clients to her and I'm just like, here, just contact Susie. Let me know what you need to do. Just anything new contract, if it's something that she's bringing in, I just ask that they contact me initially. So it's really her. And then I have two others that are kind of part-time staff that cover kid pickup and a few of the other things. But V is my main right-hand person.
Nice. So you said you were doing childcare, but then this is more than childcare. This
Yes.
is way much more than childcare.
Yeah.
So obviously you started there, but how did you grow into being someone's, I guess, right-hand person or their lifelong partner?
I honestly just started getting asked things, and then I'd be like, hey, who's what your travel? Because it really evolved when I have a client who travels 3 days out of the week. And then she's a single parent and she shares custody. So when you're doing all that, you have 2 dogs, you have 2 kids, you have a school schedule, you have all their extracurricular. It got to a point where she'd be like, hey, can you watch the dogs? Hey, can you do this? And so it evolved into additional requests because they trusted me in their house with their kids, all those things. And then it got to a point where like, we need to have a conversation about what this means compensation wise. I don't mind doing it. I love your family, but if I'm going to give this much time, it should be compensated time. So it kind of started from there. If I didn't have the connection with them through their kids, I don't know if it would have led to this, but now it's in a place where it kind of covers all of them.
Yeah, that's nice. So you built a trust with your clientele through the original babysitting.
Mm-hmm.
And then through that, they're like, oh, can you do this one extra thing? And can you do that one extra thing? And then it just turned into, sure, I'll do your laundry. I'll run this errand. I'll pick up this kid. I'll coordinate this event for you.
Yes.
I'll go grocery shopping. And
And a lot of people, once they trust you, then they'll start asking you for bigger asks. So it was a combination of give and take of trust. Like, hey, can I trust you to do this? Oh, I can trust you. Well, then what about this? And so eventually you get to the initiative that you'll just, hey, you're traveling these days this week. Where's the dog? Where are the kids? What's going on? And that's kind of, I think, how they realize, oh, she's recognizes my schedule. She's invested in my life and she knows all these things. So I might as well be compensating her for that.
how do you structure your services? Because it sounds like you can scale into so much more. Someone might need you for this one thing. Someone might need you for several things. So is it like hourly and then you get everything? Or is it like, oh, you want me to do these type of things? So they have different compensation packages.
So generally, if you're looking for business support, that is and that's truly, I'm talking to customers, I'm doing your email management and all of that, almost like a virtual executive assistant. That is its own package of stuff. And then it goes by hours. So 10, 20, and then 20 with social media. It goes from those. Those are a separate package for just virtual business support. When it comes to pet care, childcare, and personal assistance, childcare starts at a base rate. And then I have a disclaimer that says if you're under these ages, it goes up in this. If it's more than one kid, it's this, and then all of that. And then pet care has kind of base rates the same. So, if I'm watching you overnight, it's this price. If it's a drop-in, it's this and all that. And then anything in between that is considered an hourly rate. So when I'm watching kids, it's hourly based on that. And if I'm doing concierge with it, we kind of just up the hourly to those. Like, 2 clients I have, one of them has 20 hours a week. That includes childcare, but there's 20 hours a week. So sometimes I only have the kids for 10, but I have 10 hours of all these other things that are happening. The one that I'm supporting, she does 20 hours a week and her engagement falls into the 20 hours. So a lot of people get to a place where they have that flex of hours. I have she's 84. She uses me 3 hours a week on the same day every week. And she writes me a little list of whatever she wants. And she pays me the 3 hours and that's it. But it's kind of a combination.
Yeah, that's kind of cool. So it sounds like there's different buckets. There's the business services, there's the personal services, and then there's the pet care.
Yep.
And then those obviously have their nuances. So you can stack them, combine them, maybe create a bucket of hours for type of assistant type of work. For the business side, how do you, can you kind of dive deeper into that? You're saying emails, marketing, this. So is this business owners that are usually saying, hey, I need you to run this email campaign and book these clients and so on and so forth? Or what would that look like?
So I think I have both. I think there are people that want more than they've tried. I have a new client coming on that owns a wellness business, like a training business online with all women, but she also focuses on community health. So are you sleeping? Are you doing all these? Well, she tried overseas. She tried virtual random. She tried Thumbtack. And she was like, I need someone that's going to be personable to do these things. And I think that's so I get a combination of business owners and people looking for business support, but they want the personal part of it. Like hairdressers are people that are personable. People that work with children are personable. People that work in marketing, personable. So I think the biggest niche that leads to all of these things is the personal part of that then goes to that. And so I've gotten anywhere from she's the VP of sustainability, chief growth officer, to a business owner, to an old lady that just her mobility is gone. I think it really is, they're looking first and foremost for a service, but they want a service that's more than just behind a screen randomly. They want that. So I think that's kind of how it goes. A lot of people don't know where to go with that. They think that they have to pay for a W-2 and a full employee and a full service and all that. So I think a lot of people don't know what they don't know. And then once they find out, they're like, oh, I can have that. Like I've seen it on all kinds of social media. Like I didn't even know a house manager existed. I didn't even know this existed. And so I think it's a combination. I think it's sustainably more people in higher level professional jobs that need that time back. And then people that are looking for support is kind of, so it kind of, but the majority of them are usually professionals, usually mid-career professionals.
Yeah, it's kind of like an executive assistant where you can really do a lot of the business functions and help out with whether they're nonprofits, local business owners, and they just need you on a part-time basis or for a specific engagement. You don't have to have someone on retainer, full-time staff type of deal. So it kind of does become its own niche and very, very, very useful. What would be your typical customer when it's on the personal? Is it more of like the elderly that typically reach out?
I honestly get a lot of professionals that need that type of executive support at home. They need someone to run their calendar with their kid. They need someone to fold their laundry. They need someone to check on their dogs. They need what an executive assistant does in their office at home to kind of run that part of life. So I need dog food. I need these things. All of those things are kind of pick up my prescription, because unfortunately our society is built for all of this productivity, right? But they're not building anything that the hours are flexed for that, even healthcare. Like everything's open. Most things, the bank, the pharmacy, they're all open during business hours. Well, what if you work 8 to 5 and then you commute? And then you have a child to pick up and then you have to do this. Where is there time to do those things? So I think for a lot of, on the personal side, they're looking for the support of someone, just an extra person to handle that. And I think taking out the fact that they're not my family helps them too, because they're like, okay, now we're not going to argue about this. I'm not going to argue with my husband about who has to do it. We're just going to pay someone and we know it's done.
Yeah, no one wants to work after work.
No one wants all the errands after work where everyone else is doing them. Like, you don't want to do that.
No.
So I think that's really what it is. And then you're getting the relationship part of it too, like with the birthdays and all that. Like, you're sick. Oh, you're good. Let me check on you. How are you feeling? What do you need brought? Those are the things that I think people are missing. So it's a combo of those things that really, you get the business and the professional.
This is a super cool niche. Honestly, I'm fascinated by what you do. For the grocery shopping and you're going to pick up the prescription, as you said, like usually there's a cost component to it. So are you paying out of your own pocket and then people are reimbursing you, or are they just giving you a checkbook and then you're just using their money?
If I'm doing grocery shopping and I know what their grocery list is, generally they'll just transfer money into Venmo or something and then they get a reimbursement of it. Or depending on what it's for, like if it's a prescription, most of the time it's $5. They just add it into their weekly invoice. And if you know what it's going to cost and it's coming in, I can just screenshot them. Hey, this is what it's going to cost. Sent into the account. I just actually this month got an expense card for me and my assistant. So from there's little things, it doesn't have to come out of our pockets. And then I can just pay the expense card. But for the most part, all of my clients have been very responsive to payment. So it's not I think it would be a bigger issue if I had delayed payment all the time. But for the most part, no, it's not really a big deal. It hasn't been like $7,000 where the amounts that are being spent are not significant enough for me to feel like I need to really push that, like in a point where you're like, oh, you really owe me that. No.
Once people book your services, is there like a common surprise that they end up seeing or getting, like a common, like, wow, I didn't know that this is the relief that I would get? Is there like a common compliment that you usually get?
people usually feel a relief of the mental load of handling all the things, because the other thing that I offer too is if I cannot do it physically, so I can't get your dog, I can't get your child, I can't do that, and you book me out of the blue, like, hey, can you watch Jimmy on Tuesday the 24th at 2? Well, if I can't do it, I've already reached out to my people, hey, can you watch Jimmy at 2? And if you haven't met him, I'll also make sure that in the meantime we've set up a meet and greet so you feel safe. So once you book with me, you never really have to go and find new childcare, new that. There's someone else that you'll probably know and trust to fill in those blanks. So I think the mental load of being like, oh, my nanny canceled, now I got to find someone for childcare. There's never there. I can't go. So the mental load of all of that, keeping everything running, is really diminished. And I think overall, it's really made them all significantly happier and being able to do other things.
Yeah, especially with someone that has high ambitions and is working and is focused on their career and they are letting the household stuff slip.
Mm-hmm.
It really could be a big benefit there. And you briefly touched on this, but did I hear you say that you do children's like homework and tutoring?
I do. So one of my clients, he actually had him, he'll be 13 this year. I've been able to teach him. We go through, he has a full routine on the week. Okay, Mondays is this day. He knows who's picking him up. He knows what he has to do on Mondays. Tuesdays are, it's shower day, it's dishes, it's this. He has all those. Oh, okay, I know on Thursdays my stuff's due for school. So I've created the systems too that are going to make them more productive as they get older, or reinforce it if there's already a system. But oftentimes people are lacking because they have such little mental capacity after everything else. They're looking for that, to be that extra person to be like, hey. And so it's really been a really great thing for me to be able to do both of those.
Yeah, this is more one-on-one attention. And I do like how not having to worry about missing or the cancellations or them not showing up. In this sense, if you're not able to make a commitment, you have your assistant or someone on your team go to that event. Because I usually hear that. I'll get a phone call like, oh, my babysitter canceled on me. Can I drop off your kids at your house? Or can you do this or whatever? Or can you watch my dog? Or can you come over to my house and feed them and make sure they have water? Things of that nature, because whoever they originally had canceled, there's a life event. So in this sense, it's pretty cool. Yeah, very awesome.
Yeah, and if I'm going to utilize them or I know that they're going to be a partner, then I make sure that they are going to meet those clients. So most of my regular clients know my assistant, know them by name, know them by face, can talk to them virtually, just text message like, hey, feel free to reach out to Susie about the dogs next week because she'll be dog watching them. I'm like, feel free to coordinate what you need to do. I just ask that she respects the hierarchy of payment and all that. But other than that, as long as that's usually the way it goes. I want people to feel secure in who's watching their house, who's watching their dog, who's doing all that.
What's the biggest challenges that you run into? I mean, you're doing so much. Like, how do you yourself stay organized?
So I have a Google Calendar that has everything on it, even people that I'm not there. And it's color coordinated by person. So like his name's Bennett. Bennett's all red. Everything related to him is red. And I have it labeled and I have it all on there as a visual of whether it's a coordination that I need to do or someone else needs to do. And then I have a Google Calendar or a calendar for clients that require it. Like, hey, you have this. This is your household calendar. Based on those structures, I kind of know what to expect. And it goes from there. That's kind of how I do it. I use a lot of Google Docs, Google, all that, essentially Microsoft, but through Google, But I really have a lot of that. I have a SOP for who picks them up, all their phone numbers, the schedule. I have a lot of systems in place that are accessible for my client if they prefer it, because I'll share the document like, oh, this is what we have. This has been shared to blah, blah, blah. So I have all of those in place as well. I think my background in working in a business and an administrative analytic role has really helped me do the business side of organizing. Like, what does the schedule look like? If we're going out 3 weeks, what does this look like? Who's going to be there? Who's going to manage it? And I think that the business side and all of that was really good. Not everyone has those skills. I think I also learned that in college, but I think I think some people are just intuitively better at it.
Yeah, that makes sense. I was checking out your website and there's some wellness services that you provide. There's this, I don't know how to say the word, like Reiki,
Yes.
And sound therapy. And so like, what is that?
So Reiki is an energy healing form that's based in Eastern Asia. It was originally in Japan, and it is using the energy that already exists to help in healing, relaxation, and meditation. I would say it's a relaxation of energy and meditation combined. So it's essentially laying your hands. You are going to do a chakra assessment, get consent from the person. Do you want hands-on? Do you want hands-off? Do you have pain? Is there anything you're looking for? All that. And a lot of people are very like, this is woo-woo. I don't believe in this. And then like my hands get really hot and they'll feel it and they'll be like, oh, I could feel blah, blah, blah. Or I saw a color. And so you move through their body and it's just almost like concentrated meditation. And there's like 3, you have to go through the training for it. It's actually, they actually have it at UC Davis Health. So I feel even more supported in that it was like, but you go through it and at the end you should feel relaxed, released, and almost like you did a meditation ceremony. That's for Reiki. Sound bath is based on the different sound bowls, and sounds are going to activate on different hertz. And our body is 70% water. So it's going to activate those in different ways, whether it's through vibration, sound, all of that. And so I just like that it's a modality that doesn't require like too many investments, just an open heart to go in with that. And they're showing in research in academic medicine and all that it's actually helpful. Like one of the biggest things now that doctors are talking about is meditation and mindfulness, right? That's a very old, ancient, Eastern, Asian, India, all of those things. So it's kind of in that modality, but it's a place for you to come and relax and stress. And the nice thing about it is you don't have to, I could come to you. I can do it at your house. I can do it in those spaces. So it also gives you that I'm in a safe place. I can try this out. The mobility of that is also very helpful. And I have a heart to want to heal and help and serve people.
Yeah, I can see that being very beneficial, especially for people that have a lot of internal chatter that can't turn their brains off and are just needing that calmness, that meditation. I mean, I can see how it could be peaceful in a way. And sometimes you need that accountability, have someone just help facilitate the meditation.
Exactly.
That's kind of cool. I feel like you do more. I don't even think I scratched the surface. What else do you do?
So I do all the personal assisting. I also coordinate any type of grooming and any of that. So my assistant is actually a groomer. So if you have an appointment, all that grooming is done, childcare. I also am really a big into the community. So if there's big events coming up or something, I'll take the kids. You don't have to pay me. You want to go? One of my clients has 2 horses, a pony and a horse. Well, the pony's a little too small to really be ridden by an adult, but she still wants to be ridden. So she was like, hey, some of your kids want to come ride the pony this weekend? Want to go on a horseback? We can have a morning. They can pet them, horse them. Those are experiences that I'm investing in that I think are part of creating community, creating connection, creating that. And I think that's part of it. But all the other stuff is just kind of part of what comes with the clients. People are just looking for someone to partner with them.
How do you get your own referrals? I mean, how does someone find you?
Honestly, most of it is word of mouth. I do a little bit of marketing, but most of it is word of mouth. If I'm looking for children because sometimes it's a slower season, you can always find someone to watch. You can always watch someone's kids. So I've done a little bit on care.com and all that. That's some of it. But Nextdoor is actually, a lot of people are looking for services on Nextdoor. Nextdoor has been a good one. I'm actually partnering this upcoming month with the numerous people in my neighborhood. So the Boulevard Park Association and I are doing an event. I'm partnering with the Ritual Wellness House. And then I'll be at the farmer's market as well, making Valentine's for the elderly. There's 3 different events. But I think from that, it's being involved, being active, being friendly, and being genuine. That's really where referrals are going to come from. And if you put up a flyer or you put up something, they may look into it, but if they see it and it feels very flat, they're not going to. So I learned that you really have to engage the human connection to get the other part of that, because people are getting inundated left and right with things. And if you're not actively doing that, but I've gotten numerous referrals from numerous people.
Yeah. So a lot of it is word of mouth, and that word of mouth obviously spreads. You do a great service. People want to refer you. If something comes up, they say, hey, I know someone. And then the rest of it is just posting in the community apps like Nextdoor, seeing what services the community needs and plugging yourself in that way.
And I think part of understanding with those community things is you still have to be personable. In the tech, I still write a whole, hey, I'm interested in your service, blah, blah, blah. A few facts about me. I have a golden retriever. I love sunflowers. I like to dance karaoke. You still have to be personable because you want someone to engage with you, because they could read it and be like, oh, there's just another person. So I think that's the hard, even if you're cold calling or reaching out to someone that might need you need to be engaging with them, not just looking for a service, because offering a service and nothing else can be bred as desperation. I never want you to feel like this is a desperate situation. Because honestly, I'd rather talk to clients I know and be like, yo, we're doing bad. Like, what can we do than a brand new client and convey desperation to a new client? Because that's not fair to them either.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, you got to be personable virtually as well as in person. It definitely goes a long way. What's the like best compliment you've ever received?
I think the best one I've received is probably the one that it's actually on my testimonial, and it says that was a much longer one. She's like, it's like having your own chief of staff, or she's like a husband, but you don't have to bring the bank for it. But knowing that someone trusts me with their kids in their life, like a chief of staff of a president or a big company, or as a significant other, that's very, very complimentary to know that people trust you in all of those positions. That's a verbal compliment, but I've also gotten a compliment. I've had people call me. Someone called me and was like, can you take my wife to go get oral surgery? Putting someone in a vulnerable position with your care is one of the biggest compliments you can get. Because kids are likely, if you do that, kids are more likely to be with other people. But an adult in a vulnerable situation is a very big compliment. They trust you with those things.
What's the craziest thing that you've ever had to do for a customer?
I did have someone ask me to plan a holiday party within 7 days and do all the event planning and all the coordination, and then proceeded to be upset when I said, well, this is going to cost this much money. And she was like, well, I was like, this is 7 days before in the holiday season. Like, what do you expect? But other than that, not too serious. I think people kind of know, because unfortunately, my face is very, very expressive. So even if I'm like, yeah, totally, my face is like someone asked me to install their bidet. No.
Jeez.
No.
Like, maybe I could get you a referral for that instead.
Let me find someone that is in. First of all, if I break it, but second of all, I don't want to touch that.
That's crazy. Now, speaking of like crazy stuff that people might ask you to do, have you ever had to like then fire a customer?
I haven't had to fire a customer, but I did have one person that I watched her kids, and she wanted me to watch them late night so she could leave, which is fine. She didn't have any furniture.
So would you sit on the ground?
Yeah. And then she texted me at like 2 a.m. and was like, hey, can you stay longer? I was asleep on the carpet. And then she just assumed that was consent, and then came home in the morning, and I was still working at my other job. I was late to work because she showed up late, but I had nothing, like there was nothing for me. And then she asked me again, and I was like, no, I can't because of X, Y, and Z. You didn't respect my time. There's nothing for me to do. And like, I'm sitting on a carpet, like, and I was late to an actual job when you didn't receive consent. I was like, unfortunately, we can't work together again. Because you're disrespecting me as a human, and you're making me disposable when I'm watching your most precious gift. There should be mutual respect. Yes, you are the client. Yes, you are hiring me. Yes, all that. But I'm still a human, and you're trusting me with your small children. Like, that's a very disrespectful way for you to respect that. Like, what if I just was petty and was like, well, we're going to go do this with your kids, and you can get them back when you, like, no.
That's crazy. I mean, someone just abandons their whole family, their children and everything. I was like, oh, you Alexis got it. You can take care of this.
But like, I was just like, and this was a newer client. This wasn't like a long-term client that was like, you can figure it out. You know where everything is. No. Girl, no.
So you do a lot of these things in person, right? Because now you're going from house to house, person to person. So what areas do you service?
So I service everywhere from El Dorado to the greater Sacramento area completely. And then I do all the way up to El Dorado Hills and to Vacaville with some knowledge of that. It wouldn't be an everyday thing, but I do have clients that moved from like Arden to Folsom. Okay, they're still going to utilize me. We'll still do that. I have people that have moved from different areas, and they're still regular clients. It's just a matter of understanding that. So logistically, if you ask me, I can't make it there. Like, she asked me on the whim, can you watch Cat at 5:30? And it was like tonight, and I was like, it's 4 and you live in Folsom. No, like I can't logistically, wherever I am right now, change the schedule and get to Folsom at 5:30. If you lived in Sac, sure. But yeah, so I try really hard to meet the needs. And that does include Davis and West Sac, which people think in the greater Sacramento, they don't think of that, and
Mm.
Elk Grove. So I do almost the entire area surrounding it because I have clients. I have a client in Elk Grove. I have a client in West Sac. I have a client in Davis. I have two clients in Natoma. So it's kind of everywhere. Ideally, eventually, I'd like to expand to Southern California, but I need to have someone that's a Flagstaff that can manage the people down there. And that's a matter of finding someone that I trust enough that has the capacity to do it. I have people that I trust, but they don't have the capacity to do any of that. Like they already work a full-time job.
Yeah. It's usually something on the side where they could fit in between their regular 9 to 5. But I was also reading online that you do some stuff virtually. So
I do.
What would that look like for like a virtual assistant versus an in-person assistant?
So I think a lot of virtual assistants and a lot of people that do online social media and content creation. I don't create content, like I won't go shoot it, but if you send it to me, you want it all made up, or you want the Canva flag and you want I do all the flyering, I do all that, as well as if I'm managing customer calls, incoming bids, all of that administrative work that you would put to an executive assistant in an office, you can offload to me, to our services. Because the nice thing about me as a service provider is instead of paying for employee and all of those funds as a payroll, you're paying for a service. So it also changes your overhead costs. So you're not having to pay because it's over a certain amount of hours or set schedule. You have to pay workers' comp and all of those things. As a service line, you don't have to do those things. So there's also benefits to offloading to a service. I have someone that's going to have me handling. She does training. So she has me handle all the incoming bids, incoming inquiries and all that, and then reaching out to discuss those things. I also have access to like 3 people's emails. Real estate is another really good thing. They want you to like post what's sold, what's selling, what their expenses are, who their clients are, like all of those things. You can do all the email marketing, all of the expenses, profit and loss, all of that stuff is a lot of virtual stuff that doesn't require an office. I just think some people are used to being able to go directly to their executive assistant, and that's a matter of control for those people. Part of understanding this is you have to understand what your capabilities are and your capacity is. Because if you want to keep managing everything, you're going to keep managing everything everywhere it goes.
Yeah, there's trade-offs for sure. I mean, if you're trying to do it all, it does get overwhelming at times. So for the email campaigns, the marketing and the editing, do you do like long form podcast editing? Is this something I could give to you? But like, hey, edit this podcast. How do we get it distributed?
I mean, I could learn it. I'm not opposed to it. Like some of these things are just things that I've learned and like picked up and been. I also have a background in photography. I have a bachelor's in photography. So all of the like art forms, I had to learn all of them, how to do the processing from taking in a raw image to all that. And I think that's also helped in those other side things that are not necessarily business side. Is like you got to know how to do all those things. And now with social media is a big component for most people's marketing. And if you don't understand that, you're probably going to be dramatically impacted by that. Because now I was reading the other day, I think it is, that the majority of the workforce is now millennials. So we are the workforce we're marketing to. Where are you consuming ads, information, finding new people? We're most likely finding it on social media in some capacity. Or someone tells you about someone and you go to Instagram to find them. Like, oh, I want to look up this restaurant. Let's go see what they look like on here. You know what I mean? And I think that's what really has grown into those skills.
That's exactly what I do, to be honest. I'm like popping over to Instagram, going to the Yelp account, trying to look at photos, looking at reviews, and trying to figure out like what to do, what looks good, this, that versus something else. So if it's online, if there's a social presence, it's like going to come up in the search versus it not having an online presence. It's going to be a lot harder to be found. So
yeah. And it's understanding like who you're marketing to. And I think that's all part of like what I've adapted to for the business side of it is there's a lot of people that need that. And then one of my actually really like friends and trainers and all that, she graduated with a marketing degree. She's only like 25. Well, she knows all the social media stuff. So if I don't do it, we also have an additional person that I'm like, hey, like I just posted flyers for the event. She did it. I just paid her. But we got to work through what she would be looking at. So it's nice to have those things too. And I think that's where you have to really figure those things out. So did I learn all those things and come with those skills? No. Did I adapt to them for what's needed and what's currently the structure? Yes.
Well, it's like whatever the situation is, you're going to learn it. You're going to become the expert at it. And then you're going to support people through your concierge service for that specific thing.
Exactly.
What qualities do you think someone needs to be successful in your line of business?
I think they need to be knowledgeable. I think they need to have boundaries. Like they need to be knowledgeable in how to like navigate your own schedule, first of all, because being an entrepreneur and being on your own schedule, if you're not managing your time and you don't have those skills or that structure in place, you are not going to be successful because things are going to fall through the cracks. I think that's part of it. I think the other part of that is actually just being like smart enough to understand some of the things that are being thrown at you, because not everyone has that level of knowledge in those areas or is willing to find out those things. Part of it also is being personable. You need to have community. You need to understand what it means to talk to those people, understand them and listen, and then anticipate. The better you know them, the more you can anticipate what they're going to need. If you're not in that place where you're interacting and you're very cold, you're not going to find out those things. You're not going to know that, you know, her favorite, she eats salads and chocolate every day. Okay, well, there's no salads and no chocolate. Why aren't they there? But you have to get to know those people. And I think those are the three things I would say: looking at your structure and your system and your own schedule, having enough knowledge and understanding of what's currently the niche that you're providing, and then having community and connection to people and building that and sustaining it and making sure that it's well known that this isn't just for an income. Being authentic with it. I think authenticity and transparency it goes a long way in business, especially when it's people to people with things you trust.
Is that something that you just learn over time, or did you kind of know that going into that?
So I've always been a people person and authentic in those capacities, which is also a gift and a curse. You can be really great. You also get your feelings hurt. But I think I knew when I started doing it with kids that like I was investing in those relationships. And then as it grew, I was like, okay, this is the most important part. But like I said, with that book, I read a book called The Go-Giver, and it talks about like business strategies and all that. And at the end of the day, I am the person that we're paying for. You're paying for all of the things that come with me. And people, I think, need to understand that you are the prize. You are marketing yourself, not just the skill. And if you don't believe that you're something special, that you're something that should be valued, that's something that, want to connect with, you're not going to be the same success, because it's just going to be a job that you have to do, or it's just going to be, you have to value those things and understand yourself. So I really you're here to sell people on yourself first. The skills are only part of it.
Yeah, so it's both the personable stuff as well as the talent stack.
Yep.
So you're getting both sides of it. When you first started out, if you could go back knowing everything that you know now, what advice would you give yourself?
I would tell myself to not be afraid of failing and not be afraid of rejection or feedback. Because feedback is historically in business, like in my professional life, was a harder one for me. But when you're working for yourself in a business and a niche that's new, you need the feedback. Don't be afraid of it. And I think at first I would take things really, really hard and really beat myself up if something happened. And now I'm kind of like, okay, what does this mean for me? What it needs to be adjusted? How do I communicate these things? And I think those are the biggest thing that was the biggest learning curve, is how to navigate the interpersonal and the rejection or those things. Because you put a lot of, if you're a person like me, I'm a feeler, I put a lot of effort into it. So then my feeling, but this isn't about feelings. So I think part of it is balancing the interpersonal with, is this a personal attack? Is this, or is this things that need to change because of the job that you're doing?
Wow, that's actually very deep in a way, because you have to adapt to the personality, and every customer is going to be different. That's super challenging. I'm not sure how you even are able to overcome that. I think for me, if I was to ever try something like that, I'd be very successful with this person and then not successful at all with that person. And this person's in a bad mood, so they're talking to me a little bit sideways, and I'm like, now I'm getting offended and I got to not take it personable. So I'm like, all of the above. And it's like every day it could change. So being able to overcome that, yeah, that's definitely an eye opener. And that definitely shows how much you've grown from where you started and where you're at now. I think that's definitely a testimony to the quality that someone's going to get going with your concierge service. If someone's listening and they're on the fence about buying a concierge service and they have a lot going on in their life, what would you tell them?
Try one service that you really feel like. If you hate running errands after work, have someone do it for you. Invest in them, talk to them, tell them this is what you're looking for, and let them do it. I think people that are also, it's the number one things I say is that I hear from people about feedback about, oh, I wish I had one, is money, how much it costs, and trusting someone. So money is one thing. If you're thinking about it, you probably do have the money. You're just a matter of who you're going to spend it on. But like, you spend, how much money do people spend on DoorDash? That's a convenience service. You're paying for the convenience. But you want those things for other, but you want someone that you trust. And I think that's the biggest thing for a concierge in my service line, is you're finding someone you trust that's going to take care of those things.
Yeah, there's no DoorDash for your personal life or for anything else. So if someone is on the fence about it, I think that's a good way to put it, is like, just try one thing, the thing that's giving you the most pain, or the thing that you're avoiding the most, or that honey-do list that you're just not going to get to.
Yep.
Like, start there. And from what I understand, you could do like a one service, a one-time engagement. It's not like a contract, not a recurring thing. So it could be very affordable in that sense then. I mean, if you have some extra slush fund money, just try it.
And sometimes it's just a start and finish. You know, if we were getting into more virtual assistants, yes, you would need more time, because how can I do something in one session? But yes, there's, you know, a project, or the older lady that's 85, she started just having it like once every couple weeks. And then she was like, you know, I just really like having you here, so I'm going to have you do these things. And then she would just write a list all week of things that she needed, that she couldn't do physically, but she just started with one. She just started with me coming, I think it was to do the laundry. That's it. And then she realized, like, oh, this is really nice, and this is more efficient, and I have more time, and I do have the money to do that. So I would just say, start with one thing that you really hate and give it to someone else. Someone you trust, though, because that's the other thing, is like, okay, you're going to go pick up my prescription. You're going to go pick up my dry cleaner. You're going to go do that. Like, I'm still surprised sometimes that people trust DoorDash to bring their food. I'm like, it's cold by the time I got it. Like, this French fry is not even crispy. Like, so.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing, is the cold food for sure with the DoorDash things. If someone gives you a call or reaches out to you, what does that first consultation look like?
Honestly, if it's a first call, reach out to them. I just try to get a feel for them, kind of ask what they're looking for. First of all, like, I want to know what you're looking for. Like, are you looking for childcare? Are you looking for personal? Are you looking for professional? And then I kind of want to get a vibe for how you feel about this. So tell me a little bit about yourself. What's your life look like? Are you married? You have a dog? You have this, all that. And I kind of give them a background as well of like, hey, this is where I started. This is what's going, and this is what we offer.
What do you think people normally get wrong as entrepreneurs when they first start out?
When you're owning a business, it's not just the services that you're doing. It's, did I communicate? Did I invoice? Do I have all the insurance in place? Do I have the tax stuff in place? Do I have an NDA? All of the other administrative things that did I pay for the right places? Do I have an EIN? Do I have all these things? Am I doing the right thing? No one tells you how to do those things. If you're lucky enough, you can look up some of it, but even then, they're not going to know everything unless you're paying for each professional to tell you those things. And I think that's where a lot of people get stuck, because then they realize how much it costs to run the business, not just to do the business with people, but how much it costs to run it. So you're paying for a website and a Google Drive and a legal Zoom or whatever to do all the documents. Those are all adding up. And I think people don't realize those things, and either it's too late and they don't have it in place and now they're in trouble, or they can't afford those overhead things.
As a woman leading a service-based business, how do you balance being strong, capable, and personable at the same time?
So all the systems that I have in place for payroll, communication, how you communicate with me, what my hours are, when I'm available, all of those things are in place, and those are hold still. And I've had to tell people, hey, Sunday's my day off. I won't be available. Like, they'll respond and I'm like, remember, Sunday's my day off. But you have to be strong enough to say that, knowing that, there might be something. But I also have a system for all my calendaring months in advance. I have reminders. So having a system in place for that helps me do and make the leadership, just make the decisions well. And then the community and connection is what's going to keep me soft. And I also remind myself sometimes when I get hardened, they're paying for you. They're paying for you to be soft. They're paying for you to be personable. They're paying for you to be invested and doing all those things. Remember that, shelter that, protect that. But that doesn't mean give it away.
That's definitely a balancing act for sure. Trying to do all that. And it kind of sounds like you might sometimes feel the burnout then. So what do you do to overcome your burnout?
The best thing I could have done is bring on an assistant that can share in some of the more taxing clients and all that. And then I also do take time for myself completely. Like last weekend, I went to a resort and got to like do cold plunge and all that. It was just a rest and relaxation, like hot spring. So I also think it's important to connect with my own people where I don't have to be on, or to be completely off and be like, service, just bring me things. And I think that a lot of people don't protect that either. Because rest is not unproductive, you're not being lazy by resting. And I think if no one gets anything from this podcast, if you're resting or sleeping or doing things, that doesn't mean that you are failing. That means that you are taking care of your body. We do not manage or even put in our schedule time for resting. And if watching 7 episodes of Netflix on a Sunday is how you're recharging, go ahead. That doesn't mean you're being lazy. You might need to rest.
Yeah, you definitely gotta veg out sometimes. I know I veg out sometimes, and that's what I call it whenever I'm just watching episodes of a show or something like that to kind of recharge. But let's say someone's at home and they're feeling lonely and they need to have a executive assistant, but they don't have the money to buy that executive assistant. Do you have any tips or advice for them to kind of do things to kind of break out of that loneliness?
I would say get involved in the community. There are things in this area that are easily, even go in space where other people are, as long as you're not socially like have anxiety, go in places where people are engaging. Like one of the best places to do when I'm like feeling some type of ways, I'll go to the farmer's market and get a coffee and just walk around. The vendors want to talk to you because they want to sell to you, but you could have a great conversation, feel like your cup is, and who knows, engage in things that are available to you community-wise. Having grown up in Southern California and living in Sacramento in the last 10 years, people in Sacramento generally are very friendly. And then for executive assistants and looking for that, but you can't afford it, if you have a skill or something that is coveted after, look into work trading. Hours for work. So I know a salon owner. So what we do is I do a certain amount of work at my hourly rate, and that equals to a service of my choice. And we agree to a work trade. Like, okay, I want a facial. Okay, it requires these things. And then I have another one that my other person that is a esthetician, we do a work trade. She's just, organization is not her strong suit. She's not dirty. She's just not. So she'll be like, hey, can you go organize my room and do this and that? And then it just is a work trade. Okay, I'll get waxed. Like we just trade it. So really, she's not losing any money. She's not spending any money. We're just trading services because she would have paid me for me to pay her back. Like, so those are other options to look at. Are you available to do community work? Are you available to do a work trade? Are you available for those things? And I think sometimes people forget that that's part of where we started. Is like,
honestly, that didn't even cross my mind. That is such a unique way to put it. It's crazy. Like you could definitely trade a service as a form of payment. I want to go back to the community part of it, though. You said that for people that maybe want to join a community to get out of their house or build the thing, where can people go to find communities that they can join? What are the avenues to search, look up? Is it social media? Is it Nextdoor app?
So I would say look in like SAC 365 has everything titled in the area. I would also look at Nextdoor and see if they're listing things that are happening like in your surrounding area. And then I would also look at like community boards or whatever to find out what's happening. So like the farmer's market is always going to have things going on and you can find out those things like that. I would also say look at wellness centers and things like that. So I actually partner, we'll be partnering the first week of February, Ritual Wellness Center, Ritual Wellness House in Midtown. They actually opened it and they want it to be a center of connection. So it has a tea lounge and things like that. And I would say word of mouth and then social media, Nextdoor, things like that. And then you can also just ask people, like if you have a hobby and you're into music, like say you play an instrument, well, there's a lot of open mic. There's a lot of things that are available, but you have to look for them. You have to reach out to them. So like Torch Club has R&B open mic every Sunday. You can come, you play the horn, you want to go play with them, switch it out. But you got to know those things. You got to look for those things. And I think people don't know where to look because they're looking for community, but they're not thinking of looking for a specific community first that'll lead to other things.
Yeah, that's very good. Is there any topics that we haven't covered about the Happy Heart Concierge that you wanted to bring up?
No, I think all of them are kind of covered. And I think it's important to recognize what it is and that it is attainable and accessible to the everyday person. I think a lot of people think that this is some high level, only the richest have that, but it's really quite attainable because it's a service line. So it's based on the hours that you set. Now, if you want something more regularly, should you communicate, hey, I'm looking to do this every week? Yes. Is there going to be the same day service every day? No. But I think that people just think that it's unattainable because it's out of sight, out of mind, and they're like, well, I can't afford that. But they don't actually research or they don't know where to look. And I think that's what I really want people to know. Like there are partners in our community that are here for you, that want to partner for you. Just yes, it is a service, but also because value the relationship and the community that exists.
That's awesome. So if someone wanted to reach out to you and find out more or go through a consultation call to see if it's a good fit, where can they find your social media, your website, your phone numbers, your email? How do they get connected?
So you can find me. I do have a Facebook, but Facebook business is weird, but you could send me there. That would be the Happy Heart Concierge. You can also find me Instagram. If you're looking for social media and insight, you're going to get the best content about feeling my vibes and all of the rates and everything, all the services on Instagram. And that's the Happy Heart Concierge. You must have the at the beginning. And that'll have all of that. And it'll also have a link to the website for any additional fill-in questions. And then you can also, on the website, www.happyheartconcierge, concierge is CONCIERGE.com. We'll have all of the content information and my phone number as well. The phone number that's listed goes directly to me. So I will get it. I answer text the fastest, but anything else that you need, it's generally within 24 hours, if not sooner.
Awesome. We'll get all the social media links and phone numbers in the description below, and we'll get them popped up on the screen. So
perfect.
For the video version, for those that are watching, you'll see it. But for the audio version, look for the description or click into it. You'll get all that contact information if you want to find out more. Alexis, we do a section where the last guest leaves a question for the next guest. So the question that was left for you is, what is the one thing that you could do every day to make an impact on somebody?
Make sure you're checking on at least one person. Just hey, checking in on you, something. Let people know that they matter, because people don't get that enough. We live in a false society, a society run by productivity. Make sure you're checking in on someone. Make sure you're making a social connection every day to make an impact, because I promise you those things are going to make a significant impact. And learn people's names. That would be another one. Learn people's names and use them. So if you go to the same coffee shop, you should know your barista by name and face and use it, because there's something personable about those things, and that's how it's going to make things better. People remember your name, your face, and how you made them feel.
That's great feedback. I think that's definitely needed nowadays. Well, Alexis, thank you so much for joining us on today's episode of the Key Concepts podcast. It's been a pleasure learning about your concierge service and everything that you do.
Thanks so much for having me. It was a great conversation, and I hope that for both of us, it's fruitful and continues to grow in collaboration.
At the end of the day, concierge service is not about checking a task list or a checkbox. It's really about creating a calm space and building relationships with the people that matter the most. So thank you for watching this episode of the Key Concepts podcast, and we'll catch you on the next one.
Thanks so much.